Welcome back to Inside Eastern Utah. We are here now with Tim Riley, who is the Curator of Archaeology at the USU Prehistoric Museum. USU Eastern, I always forget to add that. Eastern, at the USU Eastern Prehistoric Museum. And we're very lucky to have you, and you come from Texas A&M.
That's correct.
To take this job as the archaeology curator at the museum. And you also teach at the college. You were telling us you took a position because you didn't want that program to be gone from the school. So,
yeah, that's right. So basically, when I first arrived here, which is about 5 years ago, Pam Miller was a professor at CEU and then USU Eastern. And she retired at that point, and there was a decision to not replace her with anthropology. But we have this great museum associated with our local campus, our Eastern campus. And I felt it would be a missed opportunity if we didn't offer some sort of coursework in the related disciplines. We do have a great geology professor on campus, Michelle Fleck, but we don't really offer directly paleontology or archaeology classes here, and I wanted to at least step in and offer some of the basic classes, the foundation classes. Archaeology, study of stuff people left behind, is generally a subfield of anthropology, the study of humanity in general. And so I offer that class Wednesday evenings, 5:15 to 7:45 every semester. It's a good one. It's always pretty fun. I enjoy getting to know some of the students. And yeah, it's a small part of my job, but it is a rewarding part of my job.
Well, I mean, there's got to be so many resources having the museum right here so closely tied with the college. Like you said, it would really be a missed opportunity to not at least offer one course for the students.
Right, and the students can, in fact, minor in anthropology through the larger USU system. We are part of the larger statewide system. And as you're saying, not only is the museum a great resource for the campus, but the surrounding landscape is a great resource for the museum. That's one thing that really interested me about this museum when I was, before I came out here, when I was looking at this job, was that we're telling a story of, in my side, humanity across North America. On my boss Ken's side, life across America. But we're telling it from an Eastern Utah perspective. Almost all the specimens in that museum are from Eastern Utah. And that's something that I think isn't highlighted enough, that basically we are in a paleontological wonderland, one of the richest paleontological landscapes in North America, and we're also in an archaeological wonderland, whether it's the Puebloan communities down near Bears Ears, or whether it's the 9 Mile Rock Art, or whether it's the stuff down in the swell or up in the mountains. We have an abundance of resources, and it's really fun to be able to tell that story with stuff and be able to say, yeah, that mammoth was found about 30 miles up that canyon.
That's really unique
it
to a lot of museums, I'm sure, how local it is, and really the wonderland we kind of live in for that type of stuff. And it really translates well over to you guys being able to renovate the museum quite often with different exhibits coming in. I know that you guys have a special one now. Do you want to tell us about that a bit?
Sure, I'd love to tell you about that one. As we said, I'm an archaeologist, and again, that's studying people and the stuff they left behind, generally in the past. This museum's this exhibit's a paleontological exhibit, but it's a great one. It's designed primarily by Rob Gaston of Gaston Design out of Grand Junction, or Fruita, Colorado. And it's called, I guess I should introduce it, it's called Clubs, Horns, and Shields. It's all about armor and ornaments and dinosaurs and other prehistoric animals. It's got an incredible, nearly 30-foot long cast of a crocodiliform, so related to a crocodile, that lived during the age of the dinosaurs, is on display. It's got multiple new dinosaur species from the Escalante area that have been discovered by the University of Utah and some of their partner institutions. What we call ceratopsians, which are triceratops is one example, but they're the horned ones. And then also ankylosaurs, which are the armored ones, which we have a lot of in our area in the Cedar Mountain Formation, but there's also some down here in Escalante. And so these are recreations, as well as some of the original fossils. So the reconstructions, not just of the bones, but of the skin and some of the other features of what they would look like. The recreations based on cutting edge, brand new, newly described species in the literature. And so that's been pretty exciting. My favorite part of it, however, is not the dinosaurs. As I said, I study people, so I tend to prefer the paleontology that aligns with when people were here, which is near the end of the last ice age. And there's a great series of glyptodonts. Either you ladies know what that is?
Nope, okay. I'm just sitting here nodding. I'm like, yeah.
A glyptodont. Imagine an armadillo about the size of some of them were maybe as big as a Volkswagen Beetle, but most of them are more like the size of an ATV or a little bit bigger. And so there's a series of 3 of them on display there. One just shows the bones, and again, like an armadillo, so they're an armored mammal. The other one is one with the armor and the little cap skull on it, and the third one shows it being attacked by a Smilodon, which is a saber-toothed cat, or sometimes called a saber-toothed tiger. And so that's one of my favorite parts. A lot of the younger visitors really like, there's a series of armored fish, or some of the earliest fish were these platy, Dunkleosteus is what they're called, but they're these platy armored fish, and we actually have a mechanical mechanism. We think they have one of the strongest bites of all time, right? And you can actually use a lever to actually, inside of a cage, you can make one of the heads bite, and you can feel the amount of the force because they've rigged up the springs to sort of replicate the amount of force. And then we also have some cool things, because people also use armor, right? It might not be natural armor, but there's some great examples of historic armor, including my favorite is what kind of fish is that? It's a fish that's been turned into a helmet from somewhere in the South Pacific. So there's a lot of diversity in there, and a lot of really big, visually stunning mounted animals.
So it's no surprise that this exhibit actually just got extended recently. It is now going to go through January, is that what you said, or the end of the year?
Right, it's going to go into January. The dates escapes me, but I believe it's January 15th. It's the middle of the month in January.
And that has made some adjustment for you guys, because you usually have a special exhibit in the fall, but that is now going to be moved. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, that's right. We normally have our community art show that we call The Other Side of Utah, and we are accepting submissions in October, and it debuts November and runs through part of the winter. Because this Clubs, Horns, and Shields has been so successful, we bumped that a little bit back, so that will start in February. And keep your eye on our Facebook or other forms of public relations and contacts if you're interested as an artist in submitting something. That begins in February. Submissions will be in January, and that's always a great show. It's great to see how many talented, we always talk about how talented the artists are in Helper, and they are, but there's great and talented artists from amateur to professional level all across this county and beyond in eastern Utah. If you're a resident in eastern Utah, you don't have to be a Carbon County resident. We'd love to have you submit some of your artwork. You're limited to 2 pieces unless they're really big, and then you're limited to 1 piece. And our director of exhibits, Sandra Budd, does reserve the right to decline exhibiting pieces based on content or various other things like that. But that's always a fun show.
Yes, people always look forward to that one. So tell us a bit more about what's happening. You guys obviously are very busy through these winter months. The Cretaceous Christmas is very popular and anticipated. That'll take place in December. Tell us a bit about what that entails.
Sure. So Cretaceous Christmas is one of our yearly events. It's a free day at the museum. And we do about 3 or 4 of these a year that are free days, but Cretaceous Christmas is one where we do a little bit more than just allowing people in the museum for free. It'll be December 9th, free admission all day, and Santa will be there. Probably 11 to 1. I'm not sure if we've tied down exactly when we can fit him into his busy schedule, but we'll do our best. Santa will be there. We generally have various choral and other music groups performing carols, and we'll have various, mostly children's activities, or activities for the children in you. I like doing them too. And so we get a bunch of volunteers from the community, a lot from our local archaeological group called the Castle Valley Archaeological Society will come out and help us do various things. That might be making a salt dough ornament that looks like a Pilling figurine or a dinosaur footprint or something. So we're always trying to tie it back to fun as well as the mission of the museum, which is explaining the geology, paleontology, and archaeology of eastern Utah.
That's great. You guys are certainly doing a fantastic job over there. There's always, a lot of people will say, well, I was there just like a year or 2 ago, I don't need to go again. I've seen it. But really, every time you go in, you guys have a new exhibit. You have things moved around. You're always bringing in new stuff. Yeah,
that's right. We're in a phase right now where we're doing a lot of development of permanent exhibits on both sides, the paleontology and the archaeology side. And you do hear that a lot. I'll hear people say, oh, I love the museum. And I'll say, oh, great, when's the last time you've been in? And they'll tell me 15 years or something like that. And I say, well, you might want to come back and check on some of our updates, because we have, as you said, we've done a lot. Specifically on the Hall of Archaeology, we've always had a lot of great stuff in there, but it hasn't always been organized. Well, the easiest way to organize things in archaeology or paleontology is through time. And so what we're trying to do is take the first floor and make it a continuous timeline. So you walk through, you walk in and see the beautiful Huntington mammoth and the Joe Venus mural depicting the Ice Age, which is the oldest evidence we have for people in North America. Then you'll walk through the period between the Ice Age and when farming came in, what we call the Archaic, and learn a little bit about those people and some of the rock art they did, like the Barrier Canyon style. And then you'll turn the corner and see the Fremont, which are the farmers in this area from about 400 AD to about 1300 AD. This area is the Fremont area, but our mission of the museum is all of eastern Utah. They had neighboring groups to the south that we now call the Ancestor Puebloan. Some people call them the Anasazi or the Hitzatzinom. We've never really had a really formal exhibit on them. We had a great collection of pottery from Judge Fred Keller down in the San Juan County, but it was really just about the pottery and to some degree about him. So what we've actually done is, it's the biggest exhibit since I've been here that we've done on the Hall of Archaeology side. We've built a Puebloan room block. So these are people, the Fremont lived in underground pit houses, fairly simple structures. A lot of times people have trouble relating that as a house. Most of the Puebloan period we're talking about, they lived in above ground masonry or adobe structures. And we actually designed a room block to mimic that, where you can actually walk through what's called a T-shaped door, and you can see how small the doors are, into an actual room block. And then you'll walk through that into an exhibit hall that has artifacts from a site down near Blanding called Five Kiva or Little Westwater Ruin. You can actually go visit it. It's on property owned by the Navajo Economic Development Corporation, but it is publicly accessible and has a sign out front of it. And so you can walk in and see artifacts from that, and then you'll turn the corner and see a full diorama of that site at its peak in 1243 with people in it and doing stuff. So we're really sort of ramping that up, and that's coming along. The room block should be open in the next couple of weeks, and there's a couple of ancillary cases that are going along with it, and they should all be done by the end of the year. So.
Great.
That's
Well, certainly a
exciting.
lot of stuff to
Yeah.
look forward to over there at the museum, and we appreciate you taking your time to tell us about what's going on. It sounds like you guys are working hard over there, so.
Yeah.
We are. We always appreciate the support of our media partners like you guys.
Well, we
thank
appreciate
you.
giving it.
Yeah.
So if you haven't been to the museum in a while, stop on by. There's plenty of new stuff. Check out that exhibit before it
Yes.
leaves. And be sure to follow the museum on social media. Check out their website so that you can stay up to date on the new things that are coming. And we appreciate your time, Tim, and we appreciate you for joining another episode of Inside Eastern Utah. Stay tuned for more of your favorite programming on ATV Channel 10.